Hello, Janksters, and welcome to the MagicJank podcast, the show where members of Team MagicJank get together and we talk about the latest happenings in Magic the Gathering. And today we have a special episode that we do every set. We actually are doing the Tarkir Dragonstorm Limited episode, and you know what that means. We have HeadologyMagic in the house. Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh my goodness, thank you for being here. You're a freaking delight. And I was really glad that we were able to make this happen. Tarkir Dragonstorm.
Took some doing. There's some good stuff going on in Magic right now that's taking a lot of people's attention, so that's wonderful. You were telling me that Standard's looking pretty good and diverse, so I'm actually vaguely interested in learning Standard from you. That'll be fun, like maybe a collaboration or something.
That'd be cool. I'm there, absolutely. No, it's funny, actually. Standard is in a really good spot right now, and we will definitely be talking more about it. As we're recording this, actually, Jaffer's Standard Mosh Pit just concluded. Like, I came from there to here. And I got to say, it was awesome. Like, it's actually, right now, the Standard metagame and the competitive scene is, like, shockingly diverse. Like, far more than I expected at this point. Because, you know, when you have 7 or 8 incredibly busted cards, they tend to balance each other out pretty well. So, yeah, it's neat. Anyway, more on that in the future for sure.
Absolutely.
But yeah,
I'm excited to hear about it.
It's interesting. So now that we're hyping up that idea, let's get into Tarkir Dragonstorm. So admittedly, this is actually happening a couple weeks later than I normally would like to, just by virtue of how schedules lined up, mostly on my part, for the record, because things have been crazy in Ham World at the moment. But how do you like Tarkir Dragonstorm? I'm just gonna cut the chase. Like, let's just dive into it. How are you enjoying this? You've had a couple weeks to play it now.
I've had a bad run of luck where I just sort of draw 12 lands before half my deck these days. And it happens so often, and it feels really bad. So my perception of the set is slightly tainted by that. However, I love that it's original. Like, it's back to real Magic in terms of the feel of it, in terms of like the fantasy and the world of it, which is inspired by real life, right? But not actually, you know, a foreign IP or Clue or the themed stuff like Aether Drift and Murders at Karlov Manor and the Outlaws at Thunder Junction. So it really does feel a little bit more like the real fantasy, Magic set without, too much of a gimmick that is beyond, the norm. So I do love that. I love that we get that. I'm okay with having those other sets. It's just nice to come back to this. And I think it's really popular, and that makes me really happy because it does encourage Wizards to continue doing that. Making sets for Magic, using, their imaginations, getting really good storytellers, getting really, amazing artists to just sort of create new things, right? New worlds that for us to visit, and that the art on this is spectacular. And so you should definitely check out this set for the art, if nothing else. Yes. So I do love that it's a Magic set, a magic set, right? Like, I'm really happy about that. And I really loved playing dragons. Dragons are so much fun. Everybody loves dragons, right? I will say that the problems that we have mentioned before have become even worse for Limited. And I will talk about that in a second. But one of the things that's happened with this set, similarly to, for example, AFR, Adventures in Forgotten Realms, is that one color pairing is extremely strong compared to the rest. So, in the original Cons, which this is based upon, right, is inspired by, it was the case. It's a 3-color set, and the value, a lot of the value in the set was, trying to make you go 3 colors to achieve, right? Get that value, go the 3 colors, do the things. Oh, yeah. But in order to do that, you had to use a lot of tap lands, which did slow you down. And it, to go 3 colors, introduces additional variance in terms of the lands, right? And making sure that you get all 3 colors. The payoffs are nice, but they're slower by definition. And so with the original Cons, the strongest deck was white-black, the Warriors. Specifically white-black. You could run red as a splash and it would still be fine, but it wasn't as strong as just mono white-black Warriors. It was just too fast for everything else to do anything against most of the time. If it curved out, there was no winning. And the same thing is, well, there was some winning. It's more than now. Now we have Boros right now. The Boros deck here, which is not Warriors as such, but the Poop Out Tokens deck.
Yeah, the mobilize setup. Yeah.
Using mobilize, exactly. That deck is incredibly imbalanced in the format. And by imbalanced, I actually mean, like, I don't remember exactly what the difference in, win rate was for black white, so Orzhov warriors in cons originally, but right now, even so, in untapped.gg across bronze to mythic, Boros is winning 3 full percentage points basically above any other deck, and that's across bronze to mythic. If you go to higher levels, it can be even higher.
Holy crap.
Yes, 3 full percentage points is Boros.
That is
and
startling.
Mardu lags behind that. So if you even add just like 1 or 2 black cards to that, that can be punishing for your deck. So it turns like the 3 color decks don't compete well with that. It is just too strong if it curves out. There is no winning against it because you can get your value, but those tap lands, even those coming into play for 1 extra life, they slow you down too much. You can't compete. If they get a curve and maybe 1 piece of removal, that's enough.
Yeah.
So you either need rares that gain you life quickly, right? Or a lot of life gain synergies, or a lot of really early interaction, right? That you can cast through those tap lands, right? Like Caustic Exhale, where you can pay 1 and reveal a dragon, for example. So basically, this is kind of like, the original cons, in that there are fun decks, but then there's the fun police. So the fun police in this case are Boros. In that case, it was Orzhov. But the Orzhov, I don't think, was quite to the degree that Boros is here. Boros is extremely strong. So those 3 percentage points, like I was talking about, on tap.gg across ranks bronze to mythic, in 17 lands, Boros has a 59.7% win rate. And the closest actually is Selesnya.
That's interesting. Okay.
And in the monocolored decks, right? Let's call it mono white plus a splash. That has a 63.5% win rate over very few games. But a 63.5% win rate, which the next highest is 55. So that's kind of giving you an idea that white may be the most powerful color in the format.
I don't doubt that. I genuinely don't. Because I didn't play that. I mean, I haven't played as many drafts, as a hardcore limited player like yourself. But in this format, I actually did give myself like a whole day on stream of just drafting. So I've drafted this probably a dozen times, which is far more than I usually do. And honestly, I have another draft token, and I'm looking forward to jumping back into it because I've been enjoying it. But out of my first dozen drafts or so, there were like 9 where I ended up in some kind of white deck, because looking at the cards, I just was consistently like, well, but the white cards are just the best ones. Like, why would I not take this? Like, I don't have any good...
They're the most utility for the least amount of expenditure. So they're just like proportionately the power ratio is stronger. And that's why these cards are being... I mean, obviously, normally this can correct for itself over time, and it has corrected slightly, because in the beginning it was even worse, because those decks were readily available. But oftentimes these days they're not available. But I mean, even the thing is that the commons and uncommons, you don't actually need the rares to win with Mardu / Boros. You absolutely don't.
Absolutely not. Yeah. I mean,
and so that means that Boros can be supporting 2 players at the table pretty easily. And they can still have very good decks, right? Good enough to just, win out, right? With that extra 3%, win rate to some degree.
It's so silly.
So it doesn't need the rares, whereas a lot of the other decks are way more dirtily, right? Like the Sultai or the Teamer, right? Sort of things, or 5-color piles, right? Or even Jeskai, right? Those are going to take time to get online. The Jeskai is going to be competing with the other Boros players anyway, right? Like that's going to be full, but like, so full on Jeskai doesn't really have a chance when there's a couple Mardu players at the table. I mean, sorry, Boros players at the table. So again, you can support some of that, right? If one's playing Boros and the other's playing Jeskai, you're probably okay, right? Again, 2 players can play Boros, but because you'd only need those commons. But if you play any of the Dirtle decks, the problem is that you need the bombs to win, and you need the early game interaction to win against. So you need the bombs, you need better and bigger than the other Sultai and Temur decks, right? But you also need to stop the early game from Boros. So you have 2 game plans that aren't synergistic, right?
Right.
You have 2 game plans. You need big bombs to stop, the decks like yours, and then you need early interaction and late game interaction to stop those big bombs, and early interaction to stop the Boros. So it's just really difficult. And even then, even if you get like a couple pieces of early interaction, sometimes that's just not enough to stop the Boros train from hitting the station. It's so like at top speed. Sorry.
Right. No, it's nutty.
Yeah.
It's,
So like,
yeah.
It's pretty gross. So there's a lot of things that are conflicting with how you're building this stuff. So drafting is actually quite challenging. And it can be very frustrating. So what we were talking about, like when I said things are exacerbated from before, play boosters are still play boosting, which means it's awful because we've also got power creep.
Yep.
Do you remember how I was complaining? About a 70% win rate? That was Sunfall, and that was Overlord of the Mistmoors.
Yeah, which were outliers that were kind of ruining the format for everybody. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Ugin has an 80% win rate, 80.6 played win rate on untapped.gg.
And it can go in any deck.
Which is, yes. Which is more of a relevant statistic for our case right now because more players report to that than do 17 lands.
Yikes.
But on 17 lands, Ugin also has a 70.7% win rate. So even amongst the top players who are doing their reporting to 17 lands, 70.7% win rate. So this is a Sunfall card, but it's worse than a Sunfall card in Arena on untapped.gg. It's a 10% higher win rate, win rate.
That's significant. I mean, how often do you have
80% of the games this will win. This is I win the game card. To a degree we've never seen before in Limited.
Well, and honestly, I'm not super surprised to hear that because I've seen a number of decks in Standard, on the ladder where folks are trying to ramp with this using green, and they're running things like prismatic, prism and stuff or not prism, like the prophetic prism and stuff like these crappy
just
little
to be able to play colorless things to maximize the exile effect. Yeah,
just to juice it. And those decks I don't think are super competitive, but at the same time, there are plenty of games where like if you stumble a little bit, they're gonna run you over because even in a constructed environment like this hits the field and it's like, do you have a get lost in your hand right now? If the answer to that's no, sorry, dude. Like,
game's over. Yeah,
that's it.
It's just it is so unbelievable. So and if that were the only one, we would maybe be okay because maybe you don't encounter it all that often. But again, play boosters means you're going to, and the fact that the arena's league, it means you're going to come into it very, very frequently, way more frequently than you'd like. But that's not the only one. Let's talk about Jeskai Revelation.
Whew.
Jeskai Revelation has an 81.2% win rate when played.
Yikes.
It's 1 mana cheaper. Oh, wait. Ugin's 7.
Yeah.
Right? Ugin's 7. No, it's the same cost, but like Jeskai colors. But this is a crazy card to see in Limited.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. But let's not stop there. Let's not have 2 81% win rate cards. Let's go with Ureni, the Song Unending.
And as you're naming all of these, it's just like, yeah, that tracks. Okay, yeah, that tracks. Yep. Oh no, that tracks.
Do you want to guess this one's win rate? Played win rate?
I'm gonna be conservative and guess like 78, 79.
84.5%. Yeah, you just threw up in your mouth a little bit
on that one. That is not. Wow.
Yeah. It has protection from white and from it kills everything when it comes into play, basically, on the opponent's board. So it's like a one-sided wrath, and then it cannot be removed because anything that's going to remove it is so white and black could remove it in theory, right? But you either have to counter this in blue, right, or you have to have fresh start, which is turns it into an 05 with no abilities. Red cannot handle this card. There is nothing in red that handles this card. Absolutely nothing. So that's fun. There aren't even there's no treachery effect in this set. No act of treason. Nothing that you can steal it and throw it at them either.
Oh, and that would be probably the only way to consistently deal with this. But it
doesn't exist.
I feel like we've had sets recently. Like, didn't Thunder Junction have like 2 or 3 of them? And like, we don't have any in this set. Like, okay,
it's impressive.
Interesting. I hadn't realized that. Yeah.
How about? So now we're gonna get a little bit more conservative. Maybe going down to maybe Sunfall level.
Oh, maybe.
Are you ready?
Maybe only down to what was previously the most
hated
problematic
card
thing we'd seen in a minute.
In Limited, yeah. And in Constructed. But so let's go Dragonback Assault.
Yup.
Care to guess?
I mean, 81.
74.2%.
Oh, thank goodness. Yeah, I don't know. Okay,
it's above Sunfall by a good 4%. But it's still above Sunfall.
Yeah. So all of these mythics that were, 2 of them being Teamer is also interesting. But like, so we have. So with the Arena League structure, if you can get to 5 wins, the chances of you running against one of these cards, that's got to be almost 100%.
It's astronomical.
Right?
You're almost guaranteed to hit one of these cards. Yeah.
To hit one of them.
Yeah. That or Mardu. Sorry, Boros. You'll just get crushed by Boros, or you'll hit one of these cards. That's the only options. Like,
dang.
Yeah. So I was doing the Arena Direct to try and win a collector's box, and I was at 5 wins, and I was taken out by Mardu. It was Boros, but they started off with a Voice of Victory, which is a mess of a card. In Limited for that
honestly,
deck.
It's wild to me that you named off like the top 5 most problematic cards in the set, and this wasn't on that list. Like, that is nuts.
Yeah, that only has a played win rate of 60%.
Oh, is that all? Yeah.
We haven't even got that's considered A- in this set.
That is so disgusting. All right. Well, and I say that I did have one draft where I got 2 of these, and it was like, if I recall correctly, that was a clean 7-1, and it should have been a 7-0, except I punted once. Like, that was.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
No, it's whatever. It's fine. Yeah.
That same direct run, I had actually encountered this on turn 2 times previously, but this time I wasn't able to take care of it. On turn 2, they got it on turn 2 again. Like, this was the third opponent who had it on turn 2, and unfortunately, that cost me my box.
Oh no!
I'm hoping that they won a box. I'm hoping that I contributed to somebody else winning a box each time. So that's the thing.
I suppose.
But I was able to get through it twice, but just not the third time. So it was very sad, but for me, but hopefully it was happy for somebody else. But yeah. So okay, so let's go with the lovely Elspeth herself.
Ah, yes.
So Elspeth, again, none of these cards should have been printed for Limited. There's just, they don't even, all they serve to do is make the Limited experience horrid.
Honestly,
and some of them aren't even strong enough to play in Standard or any other format save like, Commander and stuff, which is fine, but like,
yeah, most of these
don't put them in my Standard, put them in a Commander deck. Like, you're printing those left, right, and center. Just do that. Don't put them in my fucking Limiteds. I don't want anything in my Limited that has an 80% win rate. I don't want anything in 70%. That's not okay.
I'm in 100% agreement. Like, all the ones that you're talking about, they brewing with them in Standard is fun. Like Dragonback Assault in Standard is like not competitive but fun, and your Rennie, I actually have your Rennie in my current Golgari Reanimator list, because being able to reanimate a board wipe. Although funnily enough, when you zombify your Rennie, you only get 4 damage on your opponent's board.
Nice.
So that's just funny because it's like, this isn't even the best version of this, but it's still a 10 power flyer that you basically can't kill. So,
right.
Yeah, it's still worth it. It's just kind of funny how that lines up.
Exactly. So how care to guess Elspeth's played win rate on Untapped.gg?
I'm gonna guess. My guess is gonna be nice. I'm gonna guess 69.
73.5.
That's not so nice. Yeah.
and
Elspeth Stormslayer
now go with my favorite, because I have played against this card a million times now. This is the one that shows up against me like every draft, sometimes 2 or 3 times. This is the Meringue River Regent that I knew as soon as I saw it in the early, the first look limited that I did, that this was going to be among the top tier cards. And of course it is. It is the stupidest thing. I hate it because it's almost always on the opponent's side of the board, and when it's in my hand, I can never cast it, or they have nothing that matters.
Well, and it's funny you mentioned that. So that Standard tournament that happened right before we were recording this, there was a Dimir control deck featuring Meringue River Region very heavily that went all the way to the finals. Like, this card is very good in Standard. Like,
this is a stupid card.
Good.
It is so dumb. So it's a 6/7 flyer that when it enters, return up to 2 other target non-land permanents. It doesn't even have to be creatures. So their owner's hands. And it is just so dumb. And that's 6 mana. And then it can also get value at 4 by the instant omen that draws 3 and then discards a card. There's no reason this card should ever be in limited. And it's just a rare.
It's just a rare. Yeah. No, this was my pick going in.
This is the stupidest card.
Yeah, this is my pick going in for the best dragon in the entire set. And I stand by it. Like, this thing rules. Yeah.
It's so miserable. It's so miserable to play against.
Yes, 100%. You are not wrong.
I mean, again, that's still 74.1. That's way above Sunfall. Roar of Endless Song is at Sunfall played win rate. It is 70.1%.
Huh. Oh, sure. Which is funny because I opened
5 mana, create a 5/5, but also create a 5/5 for the next turn, and then also double the power of all the creatures you control the next turn. That's fair for 5 mana, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Totally.
I mean, a 5/5 for 5 is on rate, right?
Yeah.
so 2 and then just make them 10/10s. Why not?
Yeah. And whatever else, remember, whatever else you've already played before that will also be doubled, or that you're playing in each of the turn, like the turn you get a free 5/5, right? When you didn't pay 5 mana. So yeah. And the final one that we're talking about here, at the S tier level that we're sort of talking about, there's going to be 3 more, 4 or 5 more that are just also stupid. But let's just, this is all 70 or above, right? And that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cards with a 70 or above % win rate. That is 7 Sunfalls. But they're better than Sunfall, most of them. One of them, Roar, has the same win rate as Sunfall.
This is absurd.
So when that's happening, when I said earlier, right, that when you draft 5-color piles, or you draft Teamer, or you draft 3-color stuffs, you still have to have more bombs than the opponent does, and you have to hope they don't have one of these. Or if they do, that you can take care of it, or if they do, you have 2 of them and you draw them before they do.
Right.
So, so this format, for that reason, for the power level discrepancy, because it like a cube, for example, has a lot of cards that are on a similar power level. It's the discrepancy in power that's the problem here. On Cube, they have managed the cube, they've crafted the cube such that the power level is roughly in the same, area. But when you consider that some of the, so let's consider that 80% win rate, and then let's consider that you could open a rare like, well, let's find one. Maelstrom of the Spirit Dragon, which that's not even the worst one.
I was thinking, I definitely drafted a Civ 6 ceremony deck once. I do not recommend that. Do not try that at home, kids. But yeah.
Yeah, try that. Like, or, an eerie ultimatum, right?
Right.
Which, you know, frankly, if you do get to cast it, so one of the things you do need to know about is that, you know, these are if you can play it. So some of these are, you know, more expensive, and that does mean that they will do some things, right?
Right.
But this one's, you know, we were taking into you know, consideration how difficult it would be to cast, right? So I only told you ones that they aren't actually that difficult to cast. Yes, the 7-drops are 7-drops, but you know, there is decent ramp in this, and if once you play them, they read I win the game, then all you have to do is get to there. And again, that's where the Mardu, you know, fun police comes in. But you don't even need, you know, the problem is like you don't even need the bombs to like die to Mardu. Like you need different cards. You need to prioritize different cards, like the dragons that gain you life, the rares, the 4 or 5 that gain, like the 3/3 is not enough. The Sagu Wildling, while very good, is a 3/3 that gains you 3 life when it comes into play, but you can't actually. Mardu just eats that for breakfast. The 3/3s. You need actually the 4/5. You need the Bloomvine Regent on 5 to sort of be able to stabilize there instead of the Sagu Wildling. Because that one says that when it enters, you gain 3 life, and it's a 4/5 body. That's so important. And they still may be able to get through it with the 5 damage red spell, the 4 and a red. But it's harder. And then the next dragon you play will also gain you 3 life, and that will be really important because they will have gone wide enough that this can kill one thing but not another, of course. So and that's assuming they don't have the removal for it, because again they're running containments and snares. So white enchantment based removal. So again, if they're just running Molten Exhales, which is really important for their deck because they don't really only care about getting past big things. It's actually worse to run the 2 damage spells in Boros decks because you're not concerned with trading off with something small usually, because actually the unfair thing is that Twin Bolt or whatever it is, and the Channel Dragonfire, which is the 2 damage spell, I think it's called, those don't take out a lot of the threats that you really need to take out early from Boros, like the Voice of Victory and like the little 1/3 that has Menace that poops out mobilizes. It's really bad. So Shock Brigade, that's what it's called. That's one of the biggest cards in that, and you cannot take care of it with a 2 damage spell, but it's coming down on 2, and then it's just killing you the rest of the way.
The other one that I've seen do some amazing things is the Dolkovan Pack Beast.
Oh no, the Pack Beast! I had 4 of those. I trophied.
Whew, yeah, that'll do it. Mobilize 3 is a big deal.
As long as you have those, the Pack Beasts and the enchantment. The enchantment is key. The 4 mana enchantment. Let me find out what it was called again.
Was it War Effort? I want to say
War Effort. That's what it is. Yeah. Or any mass pump like the Bearer, the Standard Bearer, whatever it is.
Oh my goodness. Yep.
Or the Sharpshooter. Shocking Sharpshooter is key. Those are awesome in that deck. So there's just it has too many tools at common and uncommon level. It's just gross.
I think that's fair.
Or even the like Frontline Rush. I did like 18 damage on turn like 5 with that. That was so stupid.
Yikes.
So Frontline Rush pumps, target creature gets +6/+X until end of turn, where X is the number of creatures you control, and it was just like, and the game was over on turn 5. It was so bad.
Well, and Frontline Rush is such a phenomenal card because it's, you know, a single shot, you know, Craterhoof Behemoth effect, you know, or it's 2
no trample though.
Red goblins at instant speed, like,
and only 1 creature. But
I know it is only on 1 creature, but it's on whatever creature isn't blocked.
But it's also just good in multiples because you can use it on the first mode and then use it on the second, right? So it's really lovely. It's not like something that gets redundant at any point.
I had a couple of drafts where I was picking this up at like pick 6, and I remember thinking like, this is only available because this is like day 2 of this format. Like there's no way this is going to continue.
I had 2 of them in the 4 Pack Beast deck, so it was pretty darn sweet.
Yeah.
Sometimes that deck is just open. And that's the other thing is like, if a deck is just open, you can win with it. Even Abzan, which is one of the least powerful decks. Abzan has been really hurt overall. It's you need to get all the cards, and because people understand it's not that good, those cards are open. It's mostly you're going to be Golgari based because you're going to be competing with the white for the Boros players and the Jeskai players, right?
Right.
But it's just if you get all the cards in the rares and the things, you might win a bunch, but then you'll hit the other decks at the late because it's not fast enough to compete with Abzan, and it's not big enough to compete with the other decks. Sorry, it's not fast enough to beat Boros, and it's not big enough to compete with like Temur and Sultai.
Right.
So it's so brutal. It's in the middle space and no man's land. So this format, I mean, it's all about the bombs, as you can see. So the next cards, the next one that's nominally S tier is Sage of the Skies, which has a 66.4% win rate, along with Baator, Shiko, and Revival of the Ancestors.
Okay.
So the Teval is 62.4, Warden of the Grove is 61.5, and like, so, and we haven't even hit the A- level, which has the Wrath, the Sonic Shrieker, the Craterhoof Behemoth.
Literal Craterhoof Behemoth, yeah.
Literal Craterhoof Behemoth.
Normally, when you say the Craterhoof Behemoth, you mean the creature that overruns in the set. But this one, no, it's the.
No, it does it. It does it.
Yeah.
So there are just so many crazy, crazy, crazy cards in this set, and I mean, unfortunately, it's not the case that you're guaranteed to hit yours when they hit theirs. And again, because of the deck building intricacies of needing to deal with two very different styles of decks, right? That and still make yours synergistic and good. It's a very challenging set to draft, number one, but it's also nearly impossible to really guarantee any sort of consistency in your deck. You can have the best deck ever and it can just get destroyed by something. You stumble against Boros, or you just don't have enough bombs against another Dirtle deck, or you are Boros and you just stumbled. I mean, Boros is now, let's say you're Abzan and you have all the things, but then suddenly you hit Boros and you stumble, or you hit Sultai and they just go over your head. It's just not in terms only of flying, but although that's an option, but in terms of just bigger creatures, better creatures, faster. And Temur just ramps past you like.
Oh, sure.
So
if you're going up against Temur, you better end it fast, because whatever the late game is, you're probably not going to outpace him.
Yeah, so it's just it's a little rough as a format because of just these uber powerful cards and how frequently you're going to encounter them because of play boosters, and just the power level discrepancy in rares where you can open a really trash card and they can open the 80%ers, and you're just like, this negates all the gameplay to some degree. When I've navigated so many games where it's just like, yes, we're good, we've put ourselves in a position to win, Eugene, right?
Yep.
Like,
what can you do? Like,
it's just, or like, I've been in Abzan and just been like, okay, we're doing okay, and then hit the Dragonback Assault, and it wipes my board. Because I've got 3 toughness creatures in Abzan, a lot of them. So, I mean, yes, I'm trying to put +1/+1 counters on them, but again, I'm trying to sort of diversify my threats so that I don't get taken out by one piece of removal, because there's a lot of one-shot removal, right? And so I'd like to avoid doing that. But then Maelstrom and the Dragonstorm things, and it's just like, oh god.
You just can't win.
It's brutal. So like I said, my perception of this is slightly tainted from the fact that I've just been drawing 12 lands and it's been miserable. But hopefully my luck will change. But I love the mechanics of it. It's so much fun. I just wish they had balanced Boros a little bit better. And I wish there weren't so many, like, if you could just get rid of that top tier of cards.
Sure.
My limited format would be so much better. It would just be so much better.
All of those, like every card you mentioned, reads to me like a commander card.
Like they'd be fantastic as commander card. Just put them in a commander set.
Just put them in a commander deck.
Don't put them in my limited format. They're not even getting into standard, so like, why?
Right. Like, some people are forcing Ugin But like and Jeskai Revelation made the Omniscience combo deck a little bit more consistent. So actually, as a standard player, I can shake my fist at that because now all of a sudden I'm seeing that deck just this side of freaking everywhere in best of one.
Oh, God.
And I'm not a huge fan of just because Abuelo's Awakening becomes 4 mana, I win the game. And honestly, it already was, but before people needed to like manipulate their deck a little bit differently and sideboard better to be able to get 2 Invasion of Arcavios down so that, you know, this town ain't big enough can do the thing. But now that you just find Jeskai Revelation with an Invasion of Arcavios and then just go and call it a day.
Yes.
And so now the deck is exactly as consistent as it used to be, but it is now simpler to execute, and so fewer people are intimidated by it, and therefore you see it more.
So it requires a little bit less skill and finesse
it requires,
to play. Okay.
honestly, significantly less skill. The opportunity to punt on it is now much lower, and it's much easier
so
to
a couple of these cards
track.
are making standards, so maybe I don't have cause to complain there, but like I really don't like them in my limited format.
As a deck brewer, I look at Jeskai Revelation and I'm bored as hell. It's 7 mana and it just does a ton of generically good stuff. It doesn't do any one thing that is particularly innovative or interesting. It just does a bunch of stuff independently.
I mean, it's like a Magma Opus.
It reads like Magma Opus.
Cheaper.
Like I saw this and it's just like it's another thing for Torrential Gearhulk. Got it. Like, I don't like. It's funny as a builder, I don't look at this as a fun build around. It just looks like a huge bomb that Control can take advantage of. And I've seen a number of people building around this, and it's usually some kind of just lockout dirtily Control deck where this and something like an Invasion of Arcavios way to like recur it is the top end. And it's like, all right, like if you want to play that game, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But honestly, I would prefer to run a Control build where the Marrying River region or things like that are my finisher instead of this. Like just as a Control finisher, it's not necessarily interesting. It's just a good option. And so like, is it really adding a lot of value to Standard? I'd kind of argue no, you know, like not really. You know, this Jeskai Revelation reads to me like a slightly more accessible Life Begets Death, you know, which is also just a commander-ass commander card that happens to be in a standard deck, you know, or a standard set. It's the same deal.
Yeah, Death Begets Life is only a 72%, 72.4% played win rate.
Is that all?
Yeah, but because it's so expensive, I didn't list it.
Sure.
Like it's an 8 mana card, which again, you know, really important, and we might run it and do things if you're in but it requires a really particular deck. So I didn't list the other ones. Can all be run in like most things, like honestly, and they're not too hard to cast. So, so I put that. So I forgive me for not having listed that one. That one does have a crazy win rate as well above Sunfall. It's a little harder to cast. Sunfall was only 5 mana, so like this was 8. And particular set of Sultai colors. So
and that this card, no standard player is considering this card. It's just not on the radar at all.
Yeah,
like
absolutely
even
not.
A little bit. Because especially because all of the like Sultai control decks because there are Sultai control decks out there right now that are leveraging, you know, up the Beanstalk and Teval to do interesting things with Rakshas's Bargain and whatnot. And those are often running, you know, Ugin fits that deck very, very well alongside like Syra's 7 Deaths and that kind of stuff. You know, I'm going to say stuff rather than like nonsense or other, you know, phrases. But those decks exist, but Death Begets Life isn't a consideration because you have to, a lot of the time, value enchantments are a big way to get to your end game. And so like, I don't want to blow up my Beanstalk, you know, like, because that's my engine. Why would I blow up my engine to kill my opponent's board? Like, there are other sweepers that just do a better job.
Exactly.
In those decks.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And just to clarify really quickly. Oh, sorry.
No. But again, another card, another mythic that is above a 70% win rate. That isn't a consideration in standard.
Yeah. And so amongst just to clarify a little bit, the numbers are lower on the 17 lands just because these are the more powerful players reporting in. And they're often playing against the more powerful players. So the win rate goes down a little bit, but it's still, so Jeskai Revelation, 71.9%, Ugin, 70.7%, Irene, 70.5%, Marang River Regent, 70.2%. And then after that, like from Elspeth to Sage of the Skies is the least at 64.7%. So it's still just like, that's
well, And funnily enough, a lot of these cards that you're mentioning are also like, I know the market value of cards is not necessarily an indication of power level. Like,
Right.
you know, there are printings of Lightning Bolt that are less than $1. Like, I get that, and Soul Ring is $1.
Yeah, and Dragonback Assault's only like 2 or 3.
Right, but like cards like Sage of the Skies, this is like a dime. Like it's not because nobody in Constructed is playing it. And and Maringer version, Jeskai Revelation is under $1. Death begets Death begets life, life begets death. I'm getting those confused.
Life begets death.
Life begets death.
No, death begets life.
Death begets life. Yes,
it's death begets life. Yeah.
That one, despite being what reads like it should be a casual commander like staple practically in those kinds of decks, is like less than $1. Like it's not important at Mythic, you know. And it's funny you mentioned the Roar of
Endless Song.
Roar of Endless Songs. I opened like 3 of these, including the showcase, and they're worth like a quarter. They're nothing. Like it's just they're not a factor. Again, in any constructed environment whatsoever. Like it feels like the only purpose that they're serving right now is just to dominate limited games.
Yes.
And that's
it just makes me sad. Although I would like to point out that I did leave the dream once. I think it was the early access one where I had Elspeth and Roar. And I made right, 2/5/5 Elefantes.
I mean, that's pretty sweet. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not fair. And I bet your opponent
needless to say, I won that game.
I would hope.
I mean, that's the other problem too, is when you like get one of these bombs and you don't win with it, and you're like, well, I suck. But those are the rare occasions, like the 20% of games where you were already dead. Like there was no way.
Right.
So, but yeah.
Well, and how many times have we how many times have you drafted a bomb mythic and then literally just never drew it? Like
exactly, that's the other one. I actually had this wasn't a bomb mythic. I just love this card and I think it's very good. I had 2 of the turtles, that Ancestral Recall.
Oh yes.
And I never drew one of them in the draft.
You had 2 of them and you didn't find them?
Nope. And I went through like half my deck each game. So it was I told you, like 12 lands. Like it was so bad.
Oh no.
Ambling Storm Shell.
Really fun design though. Yeah, I kind of love this. 5/9 for 5. Whenever it attacks, you put 3 stun counters on it and draw 3 cards. But it's a 5/9 with Ward 2. And then also whenever you cast a turtle spell, untap it. So it's clearly, I mean, that line, whenever you cast a turtle spell, untap it, like that's clearly meant as like a signal, you know, to commander players, like build a turtle commander deck with this at the, you know, with this at 99. Okay, sure.
But remember that when you untap it, you only remove a stun counter. So
exactly. Yeah.
Play it in your Spider-Man deck. That's fun.
There you go. Yeah. Or in your Spider-Man deck, or anything where you're moving counters around, or I don't know. There's a lot of fun, but this reads like a really fun build around in a casual environment. You know, and this is a rare that I have 0 issue with. In limited, like you get one really strong block, your opponent's gonna have a difficult time dealing with it.
I mean, it's still. I mean, Ancestral Recall in limited is still stupid. Like, I mean,
still very good. Yeah.
But okay, fine. But it's still a 5/9 for 5, which blocks crazily and has Ward 2, and then gets a free Ancestral Recall when it attacks. It doesn't. It still does the damage, right? Like so.
Sure. Yeah.
Like it's not like the old turtle, the ambling.
Oh, that thing. Yeah.
Tortoise or ambling, something like that.
Tower shell, wasn't it? The ambling tower
shell.
Dirtle
turtle. From Cons originally. Yeah, meandering tower shell. That's the one.
Yeah.
Dirtle turtle.
5/9 for 5. Yeah, whenever it attacks, you just exile it, but you return it to the battlefield under your control, tapped and attack at the beginning of
so it'll attack the next turn.
Yeah,
but like, yeah.
Hilarious.
So compare that to this new turtle, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
They power crept. They power crept the turtle. Yep, they sure did.
Yeah, just a tad. But yeah, so anyway, that's so to because we have limited time. Those are generally like my thoughts on this format. It is really like the mechanics are really fun. I really want to have a lot of fun with it. My favorite thing to do is like do random stuff. Like I love playing the 5-color craziness or 4-color craziness. But again, I get policed pretty heavily by the deck that is just, you know, winning way too much in this format because it is not power balanced. And this is the same thing, like I said, with AFR, with the red black in AFR, because red black had access to the treasure tokens more than anything else, than any other color pairing, and so it was allowed to do it ramped, and it was allowed to do whatever it wanted in terms of splashes. It was just too powerful for that format compared to the other colors. So and there wasn't, and it only required the commons and uncommons to do that, so it wasn't bound. It was hard to stop it, and like I said, it could, same thing with this. It can support 2 drafters at the table, so it's very, very hard to correct for that, because other people are going to be like, well, that's not open here, or this is like, so it's just, yeah, or it still feels open because we're taking the thing. Yeah, it's there's so many things that I think that Wizards could be. I mean, I'm worried that the game is moving away from being at all concerned with limited, and that's might be what where the money is. I don't know, but like, I'm very sad about it, because one of the things about Magic is if you have only the constructed formats, people can be priced out of the game really quickly. And one of the things about draft is that it's supposed to be the unifier. Like, everybody gets a shot at some power, like some decently powerful cards, but mostly you're all given a pool of cards, right? And it's cheap to buy into. You get to play some good Magic, and you get to keep your cards, right? You get to maybe win some prizes. But on the whole, things are going to be lower powered, and it's going to be, you have an equal shot as everybody else at, getting some even more powerful cards, but not like crazy. And it's going to be, a real test of skill, and you can enjoy, you're finding incremental advantage and those lines. And that's what I love about limited most, is just, you don't have to spend a lot of money to do limited. And you get to really, you get to build your collection at the same time as you get to play and have that value. You don't, it's a really nice way for people to participate in the game without spending a lot of money.
Yeah, well, and heck, if you're not worried about building your collection out, if you get a couple, if you get a couple of nice,
you can sell them back to the store.
Showcase cards, you can offset the cost, or like even just break even and cover the cost of playing. Like, that's
I mean, if you went to your FNMs and you won your FNMs, you were usually free rolling it. I was for a long time. Oh, it was really sweet, and you'd get those like prize packs that they give. So as a bonus, which is super sweet. Like, it's just nice.
Name another kind of Friday night entertainment where you can get like 2-3 hours of genuine like joy and not ultimately net any kind of financial loss.
Yeah, exactly.
Where else can you do that? Like,
yeah, and even if you do, like, what's the respective thing, right? What's the like $15? Okay, so you saw a movie, but now you got to hang out with cool people and like play a game, and yeah, and maybe get some back, or maybe not, but like still,
maybe
like,
not, but either way, yeah,
so
absolutely worth it. And
I love movies. That wasn't a diss on movies at all.
No.
It's just it's comparable to going to see a movie these days. Maybe even movies might be a little bit more expensive, but but yeah, and maybe your drafts are $12 instead of $15. Who knows? But yeah, it depends on the set. But yeah,
of course.
So
well, and prices are now going up, so that's another element where that we can maybe touch on later. But that's another concern, another challenge.
Absolutely.
But it's funny though, because over the last couple of sets, when we've had these kind of chats, it's been very eye-opening for me, because I find that from the outside looking in as a constructed player, I've been enjoying these limited formats, because I find myself, I don't know, like their exciting moments are consistently happening in the games. And I find myself having a lot of fun with it, and recognizing and kind of re-gauging what is a powerful card versus what isn't, and like what's good in limited versus what's good in constructed are often so different that I find that really interesting. But then when we chat, it's like, well, okay, everything you're mentioning is absolutely valid and concerning, and I see all the issues, and it feels like, power creep is ultimately just making this game less of the game. It's diverging from the game that we fell in love with. A
lot of the time. And again, like I said, that could be fixed. It's not only power creep. It's that the other cards aren't power crept as well. To the same degree.
Yeah,
so
and ultimately,
the difference between a rare and a common was not as great in the past necessarily. Now it's like just
it's
off
massive.
the charts.
Yeah. Well,
like,
and And that's true
a lot of the time. And so if they were more, if the power level discrepancy wasn't quite as large, it would be a lot more interesting to play. Because again, if I can navigate a game and my opponent can just slam a card, and I'm done, it doesn't feel like a game anymore. It just felt like, did I draw a card? It's just it feels like luck. It doesn't feel like a game. So it just introduces further variance in luck to a game that, already has quite a bit with its mana stuff, right?
For sure.
And it's draw sequence and mana stuff already introduces the variance to the game. If you also introduce further variance of an 80% win rate card, when people are opening absolutely unplayable cards, right? Like the Sip 6 Ceremony, right? So, or even just a common that's unplayable, right? As opposed to that, it's just,
I love that you mentioned Civ 6 Ceremony, because I drafted once where I was able to get my hands on 2 Civ 6 Ceremonies. Now, believe it or not, that wasn't that hard. They got opened in that pool. Nobody else wanted these because they're garbage. I'm
and they're going to be passed.
They're going to get passed. Nobody's going to hang out of these. So if you want, by the way, if you want to get your hands on Civ 6 Ceremonies on Arena for your own standard janky brews, if you've been watching my channel and seeing some of the dumb stuff I've been doing with it, which it's dumb, but it is fun. So, but anyway, if you want to get your hands on these, jump into drafts. Jump into drafts right now. People will pass these. There's a number of unplayable janky rares in the limited environment that you can just farm when you're
you can
in the
absolutely
premium
just
drafts.
Grab.
But I got
they will come around for you.
So I got 2 Civ 6 Ceremonies early. In packs 1 and 2, I managed to get my hands on 2 of these things. So I could identify that I'm building around it, and I built with that in mind. And I managed to get my hands on Kotis, the Fang Keeper, who, being indestructible, can survive the Civ Sig, initial entry. And as I was going, I realized how many instances of indestructible there were in the set. And Reigning Victor seems to be designed with Civ Sig in mind, because the double reduction on it allows you to play this for 2, and it removes one of the color requirements completely off of it, and it can give itself indestructible in response to the Civ Sig's trigger, so it can survive. Which, and I got my hands on 3 of these as well, because nobody was grabbing them. And so I built what I believe was truly the perfect draft Civ Sig deck. And I went 0-3. I got absolutely demolished. It wasn't even close. No,
because you have to draw both of them early if it's you're built entirely around it.
I had, but you know what's absolutely bananas crazy? If I just never drew my one build around that I needed on turn 3 to work, sure, whatever. But out of those 3 games, I had it down on turn 3 twice. I did the thing, but the thing sucked, and it couldn't keep
it wasn't
up
good enough
with what the opponents were doing.
Because you're going to need more draw effects. You're going to need there's so many things that you're going to need, and again, it's not going to go it's not going to do the thing that it needs to do fast enough to outlast Boros.
I just couldn't.
Or fast enough to get under the big decks.
Exactly.
So I've got you. I know. Yeah. I think the best thing you can do for it is play it in your Verena zombie deck, but
yeah, it just is what it is, and it felt very similar to it's funny that you mentioned the kind of that challenge in limited, the power divide, because I feel that in constructed as well. As a standard brewer, I remember when tier 2 decks, very much any given Sunday, if you piloted it well against the top of the meta, you could still take them down consistently. And we've reached a point where more and more games feel like they're being decided in the matchup in the mulligan, and it really doesn't. If you have a mulligan that's even remotely questionable, you're done. If the matchups, if you're trying to do something suboptimal against the top tier. Now, there's more and more stuff in that top tier. So when people talk about what cards need to get banned out of standard, we've gotten to a point where people will name 8 different cards. Right. And frankly, those are all the powerful cards, but there are enough of them where you can't really justify banning any one of them. You just can't.
Fair.
But there are those 8 cards, and there are 400 other potential build-around rares that are literally just unplayable by comparison.
So the reason I originally quit standard was actually in the original cons where everybody and their mother's monkey had a siege rhino. It was just the only deck that was out there, and I didn't like standard. I never have liked standard when it's always like one or two decks where it's just like, oh, everybody's running that. That's boring to me. I know it's interesting for some people because, trying to figure out how you can best navigate that is awesome, but a lot of it's just variants of, did you draw the right card at the right time? Like, it's seriously
100%. Yeah,
if your decks are the same, like
yep.
It's just going to be how the draw lines up. Did you mull? Did you miss a land drop? Like, what's going on here? So that's less interesting to me usually when that's why I love Limited so much, as it varies so much, and Commander because it varies so much. So the games just are very different, even if you're playing the exact same deck as you were before, right? The next person is going to be doing something completely different. So, so if there are a bunch of decks in Standard, I would have thought that would be my thing. But now that what you're describing, though, is suggesting that each of the decks has a sort of pivotal card.
There are a handful of them, yes.
Which is similar to the Siege Rhino thing, just in a number of different decks, which is interesting.
There are a number of them. And Dragonstorm introduced a brand new one, Corey Steel Cutter.
Oh yeah, I faced that in Limited so many times.
Yeah, this card this card single-handedly
double
introduced
spelling flurry, with monk tokens.
A new flavor of prowess, like prowess aggro, into Standard that didn't exist previously. But even that, Storm Chaser's Talent is just one of the pivotal cards that a number of decks use. We have Storm Chaser's Talent that is a key part of the Esper Pixie decks. It is a key part of the Corey Steel Cutter decks. Monstrous Rage is a key element of those decks. You also have the Mouse package. These are all slightly different, and you can kind of mix and match the different pieces, but at the end of the day, you have the Up the Beanstalk
and then the
decks,
mice are part of the mono red aggro package.
The mice decks, exactly. You have the core of playable cards, and the core of playable cards are less than 1% of the card pool. And in the past, the core of playable cards was less than...
For Standard was a lot larger,
3% of the card, or it was 5% of the card pool.
Yeah.
But but now it feels like it's significantly smaller. And
do you think that's a flaw in creative deck building, or you just think that's the way the formats are? I suspect it's got to be just the way the formats are, because people are so damn creative with this game.
It's the way the formats are. As somebody who has been attempting to make the bad cards work, I used to be able to do that, and we've reached
some
a point.
Things, yeah.
You could do some goofy
stuff.
things and have.
I had a friend who really
brews
brews things, so I'm gonna have to ask him how if he's found any creative brews that actually do anything, because I suspect it's all been found, and that these decks that you're talking about are it.
Yeah, and in my experience, all the decks that I've had success with recently have leveraged some element. I have accepted the fact that the card pool is what it is, and I have plenty of decks that have Storm Chaser's Talent in it. I have plenty of decks that have Up the Beanstalk in it, and people give me a hard time about it. But it's you know what? These cards are just head and shoulders better than all of the other options,
if
and
you
it's
can't beat
not
them, you gotta join them.
And people are going to be playing them against me, and I can't just self-ban a dozen cards because I think they're not cool. It's
still expect to actually play Magic. Exactly.
I can't sit down across the table from somebody playing a game of chess and go man, queens are overpowered. I'm just not going to play my queen.
I'm not going to play that.
I'm not going to play my queen. I don't need it. It's why can't I win a game? Maybe you should just have a queen. It doesn't mean that you can't have a goofy colored bishop next to it or whatever. I don't know. That's a bad example, but you know what I'm saying. I have Up the Beanstalk, for example, as a 4-of in a deck that's using Breaching Dragonstorm to find a Dracogenesis. Dracogenesis is a terrible card. It just is. It's total garbage. Don't play it, everybody. But I have Up the Beanstalk as a way to keep my hand refilled.
But don't do it in Standard.
Don't do it in Standard. Yeah. So it's a silly card. It's a very silly card.
It's a silly place.
It's a silly place. Exactly. But it's one of those things where I'm trying to do this big silly thing, and Up the Beanstalk can just make sure that I never run out of cards ever again.
Yes.
Okay, so now all of a sudden it makes it more likely that I'm going to pop the silly thing I'm trying to do, and it's going to more consistently win me the game once I've done the silly thing. It's yeah.
And it's much harder to interact with than a creature, so there you are.
And it's the card is dumb, and what if it had gotten banned, I wouldn't mind, but at the end of the day, it didn't. Yeah. It's here. And I'm not gonna.
And I gotta work within that context. Yeah.
And as a brewer, I refuse to feel bad for choosing to play cards that are good. I have done that for years, and I'm done with that crap. That was an unhealthy response to the current dynamic. And yeah, it is what it is. So that said, there is one core package that I use a lot in my Reanimator builds that I think is really stinking good that is not on anybody else's radar. Liliana the Veil and Overlord of the Baelmerk. Those two are absolutely just crushing it, amazing, and I adore it, and I use it all the time, to the point where I actually had to like cut myself off for a minute there because I kept going back to that well over and over. Like every deck was a Liliana deck, and
then did you spread it like, oh, Lily,
I need yeah. You know, every deck, I could be building a mono white deck, and I was like, can we put an Overlord of the Baelmerk in here? It's like, dude, you have a problem. Stop. Like, you know.
Can I squeeze these cards into my mono white deck? Yes.
Yeah. It was just like, just when in doubt. But even then, I found one package that consistently worked for me, you know, and it consistently did the kind of thing that I wanted to do. And I believe it's the best way to build Reanimator right now. That's a tier 3 deck at best, you know? It happens to play the way that I like to play, so it brings me a lot of joy, and I've got so many damn reps in with it that I can win games with it, but I don't expect anyone else to, you know?
Fair.
It's one of those where, like, I'll post a deck that I've got a 60% win rate with, and I'll get feedback back, like, dude, I can't buy a win with this thing. How the hell are you doing that? I get that all the time. Whereas, like, I've got a 30%, this deck sucks, and it's like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, you got to see the lines, and you got to think about it.
Touch.
Yeah. Well, and also a lot of right now graveyards feel like they're kind of off limits because of how phenomenal the graveyard hate is.
Oh yeah, it's very good.
If you're going to be playing in your graveyard, if you're going to be rooting around in the yard, you need to have at least a bare minimum 4 pieces of enchantment hate in your main deck, with at least bare minimum 4 more in your sideboard that you will bring in every single game 2 and 3. All of them. Bring in the hate for the hate. You have to run hate for hate. Otherwise, your graveyard's off limits. But if you do run hate for hate, all of a sudden your opponent will sideboard in a whole bunch of Rest in Peace and Ghost Vacuums and think they're fine when they're not. It's great. So I highly recommend. It is very fun, and it creates a very cool interaction. And that is not leveraging the top dozen cards that everybody says are the best. It's a goofy angle, and I have found one in the last 3 months that doesn't leverage, actually the last year, I don't know, maybe that's a bit much, but like it's been the only package in a very long time that I feel consistently decent playing that doesn't leverage a top 5 card in the meta. Like everything is a bounce deck right now, or a hyper fast red aggro deck, or a beanstalk deck. Like those are your 3 you either go some flavor of trampoline, some flavor of beanstalk, or some flavor of red aggro. That's just almost all of them. It's kind of silly. You know, and you can mix and match.
Very silly.
And you can have a bunch of variety on it, but like the Gruul mice and the Boros mice and the mono red mice playing against them, they all feel exactly the same.
Yes.
You know, they're all technically different decks.
Like
they're
ideas,
deck diversity, but
see, that's the thing, is the heart of the deck is still the same. What it wants to accomplish, how it accomplishes it, is basically the same. And that's the thing. It's just and that's why, you know, some of the drafters are you know, disenchanted, shall we say, with the limited format, is because if you play Mardu, you're playing the same deck. It has the same goals. It has the same mechanics for achieving those goals. So similar to, you know, Bloomborough and things like that, where they're very on the rails, where they reward you for sticking to one thing and one thing only, and the frog deck wants to do exactly this, and it just you need these cards to do that, and if you can get them, great. If you can't, you're not going to do very well.
Right.
So that's similar here, which is, I've always liked sets where you can so-called cook, right, where you can try different things and do all sorts of stuff and run multiple colors and just, you know, jank the hell out of it, right?
Right.
So, speaking of MagicJank, okay. But yeah, so I've preferred that, and you know, the fact that the winningest deck doesn't let you do that is rough, right? And it polices everything, and it's just it not only polices everything, because, you know, if you were just punished by running into Mardu and it doing its thing, okay, sure. But it's not even that, because it's just winning over everything. It's not like it's not punishing only the like 5-color I'm gonna do stupid stuff deck. It's not punishing just those decks. It's punishing everyone else. Everyone. And so it's not just like, when I say the fun police, that doesn't even do it justice. It's like it's not just the fun police, it's the unfun is what it is. If it's that powerful. Playing it is very straightforward for the most part. It does take skill, as playing aggro always does, but again, it has the same ideas and the same principles, etc. So yeah. Anyway, that's the limited format according to me. Again, other people will have other opinions, and perfectly fine. Other people will rate cards differently. Other people will be more excited, less excited about certain aspects of the format, the bombs, etc. So completely understand. I think I've heard a lot of other streamers express similar sentiments, but again, this is it is what it is. And I'm still enjoying it as long as I get to play not 12 lands prior to half my deck being there. So my chat has a joke that I should be running 5 lands and they'll all show up, so it'll be fine.
Oh no.
Because I've gone down to 16, of course, a lot of the time, because you can do that in this format if you have enough fixing.
Sure.
But my chat's like, we need to go. Then I drew the 12 lands and that, and so the pit chat was like, 15 now, please. I was like, we've lost the last one. We can't adjust it further.
Right. Oh my.
It was bad. But yes. So anyway, so we're working on that. Hopefully, I'll have a little bit better trophy with a Mardu deck. Go figure. It was actually Mardu. It wasn't just pure Boros.
Okay.
I think.
You did Boros the hard way?
It was pure Boros. Never mind. I did take out the black in the end. I remember that now. We did have some good black cards. 3 pieces of premium removal in black, and I was just like, can't run those. It's just gonna make the deck worse. That's the worst thing to say in limited.
Silly.
Like, are you serious? Like you cannot. Oh God, you can't possibly understand. The curve out is just so important, and so you just you just crush. It's amazing. Yeah, so anyway, so I am still enjoying the format. I know a lot of people are over it, but I'm just really glad that it's doing well. Because I do love in Magic universe sets where they really allow the artists to get creative and not with someone else's property, like intellectual property. So that's cool. So the artists can really do their thing, and the art direction can be really, really epically creative. So
and I gotta say, I have heard that apparently the sealed sales numbers on this set were insane. So people are voting with their wallet, and this is getting the attention it deserves. I think it's probably a shame that it's probably going to get blown out by Final Fantasy. It's already
blown out. Apparently, that's already the best-selling Magic set of all time.
Don't get me wrong, I am looking forward to Final Fantasy.
Despite the price tag.
But yeah, I'm not surprised because But yeah,
I have thoughts on that later. We'll talk about that later.
I would love to talk about that more as we
Sounds
approach.
Good. So, yeah, I don't want to keep you up too late.
No, it's good. All right. With that, we probably should bring
lots of awesome projects, including Commander shows that you should watch.
Indeed. Yeah.
You can.
Generic Commander. It's available over on YouTube. Yeah. Go check it out, everybody. It'd be fun. Yeah.
Exactly.
And I have no idea how the next episode is gonna turn out because I'm about to go record it. But yeah.
Ooh.
Well, actually, it's next week's episode. We have another one on this Tuesday. That one. Anyway. But yeah. Good stuff. But yeah, before we head out, do you have anything else fun happening that you want to let the people know about?
Basically, I'm doing a charity stream this weekend I've been doing charity stream for American Cancer Society to benefit their fundraising and try to raise money to eliminate cancer.
Heck yeah.
And so I'm working on that, doing that tonight as well. And then after that, I will be trying to get back to a regular streaming schedule now that my computer is fixed up / completely almost new. It's kind of crazy how that happened, but I'm very much enjoying it, and I'm just getting back to my regular streaming schedule is a big thing here, and I'm gonna I'm working on going to seeing whether I can make it to PAX East, and I'm definitely making Vegas, so that'll be cool in June, and then just sort of working on a few projects for YouTube as well, so that'll be really sweet. I'm approaching 1,000 subscribers, so I'm really excited.
Let's go. That's awesome. That's a big
and
deal.
all that does is just mean that I have a little bit more. Once I can monetize it, once you have 1,000 subscribers, you can like monetize it by the ads. And that just means I'll be able to make more videos because I refuse to pay my editors less than they're worth.
Awesome.
And that just means that I am limited in how many videos I can have them do.
Sure.
So it's just going to be more videos for everybody, entertain you while you are trying to remain sane in this wonderful world.
That's incredible. Love it.
But yeah, so I'm those are my things. And so come see me on Twitch or YouTube or other places where I'm being an idiot online.
Links down below. Yeah. And speaking of the American Cancer Society fundraiser, I was a part of that as well. And I have to give a huge shout out to Carlo C. Favretto Jr., who's another one of our hosts. He has been just killing the game. He's been jumping in on that as well. And he has raised, like he and his community has raised
$2,700.
I think actually I'm still looking at it right now.
As of yesterday.
It's over $3,000 now. He's raised over $3,000.
I think he got another $300 today. It was really sweet.
Incredible. So I gotta say, he has been streaming like nonstop all weekend, like boosting the signal like crazy on that.
That is so awesome.
Just been absolutely crushing it. And so huge shout out, like
He's
amazing
been doing
work.
a lot of wonderful charity events. So again, follow his channel and you'll get those announcements. Follow him on the socials, Blue Sky and Instagram and TikTok, I think as well.
Yes,
he's
everywhere.
You should get those announcements too when you can participate in one of these really great cause for charities.
Absolutely. And if you are listening to this and you donated on any of our channels or anybody else's, because they cast a really wide net. A lot of folks were involved in this. If you help support this initiative, thank you. You're freaking amazing, and we appreciate you.
And thank you not just for your donations, but for also just showing up to those streams, even if you couldn't afford to donate. More eyes means more people see the stream is bigger, and they might join in, and they might donate. And they might have the extra to donate. So thank you so much for supporting with your time as well. We really appreciate it. And so, again, do not feel bad if you could not afford to donate. No worries. Just we really appreciate you as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Awesome. With that, we are going to go ahead and call it a day. Headology, thank you again so much for joining. This was fun.
You're so welcome. Thank you so much for having me.
And we kept it to a tight hour 12, which I know is like crazy long for most other podcasts, but for us, it's like
for us,
nothing.
Yeah, we can
like
talk
we were barely getting warmed up. So
like a toiger. Yeah. Yep.
Excellent. But yes,
all right.
I appreciate you.
Sweet.
This is fantastic. Thank you everybody for tuning in. We appreciate you.
Thanks
too.
everybody. Cheers.
We'll catch you on the next one. Later. If you're looking for an alternative marketplace online for Magic the Gathering singles and sealed products, I have great news for you. MagicJank.com is an online marketplace for people who love all Magic the Gathering has to offer, even the jankier bits. Join the MagicJank marketplace with your own storefront. Whether you're a small business or a hobbyist with more bulk lying around than you'd like, MagicJank.com can help your products reach new customers who love the game as much as you do.